Hey creatives, welcome back to my channel. It is time again to set up my bullet journal for August 2023, but before we do that, let's have a quick look at my July pages so that you can see how my layout is working for me. And I have to say that I am really happy with how it turned out and how functional it is, and this is why I am going for something very similar, pretty much the same for August as well. But before we jump into that, I go back to my typical July or monthly reflection pages, which you can see here on the left page. I will add the questions I will answer once I will fill this page out, because that is not fixed at the moment. And next to that, I wanted to create a cover page for the month again, which is something that I always used to do. However, when I start a new notebook, that is a bit hard sometimes because the pages are different then. And so this is the first month in my new Leuchtturm bullet journal where I do that. And I just went with a simple picture theme, basically, with some stickers and a photo, and you just saw me figuring out what I wanted to do and looking at my options, basically. And yeah, so I don't really have a theme for August. I just went with something that I found pretty and with a little bit of a vibe. The cover page is totally different than the actual calendar spreads, and that is fine with me. I don't need something cohesive and perfect, as well as the fact that I'm not looking at my cover page a lot anyway. And I think that is something that has changed with the last few weeks or months. I mean, my idea of how my bullet journal should look, because I think I got a bit into putting a lot of pressure and expectations on myself to perform for YouTube in some sort of way. And I figured that this is why I stopped enjoying bullet journaling and using it in a way that is working well for me. And so with this new notebook, I decided that I wanted to go back to a bit more simple layouts, a bit less pressure of being super creative or artistic. I mean, I will still want to add some things to my spreads that make them more pretty, but I feel that so far I have not regretted this choice of the notebook and of stripping down the decorations. Also, I went back to this 80 GSM paper notebook, which, if you are into bullet journaling, you know the pages are thin and they have a big tendency of ghosting and maybe sometimes bleeding. That hasn't happened yet. And a lot of people don't like that and use thicker pages like 160 GSM to do a lot of art and stuff. But I have to say that so far I don't mind the ghosting at all. I think it feels kind of like I'm really using my bullet journal and I really enjoy that. I also have to say that this is completely not what I wrote into my script. I might have a look into that if there was anything else that I wanted to say here. So give me a second. So yeah, to sum that up, I guess this choice of new bullet journaling for me has led to me using my notebook more in the way that I want to use it, which is just writing down anything that comes to mind. I just used like daily logs for July so far, and I also created lots of mind maps reflecting pages and just dumping notes into my notebook, which is exactly what I need. And so yeah, there's no more thinking about if something fits into my notebook, if there's a space for that, and I am just getting the things out of my head, which is incredibly helpful for my ADHD brain and basically the reason why I bullet journal. So here we are setting up my monthly setup, and it stays exactly the same as in July, or mostly exactly the same. I got rid of one thing that didn't work for me, like the column where I wanted to decide what I want to do for a day. I did not use that at all, but you see here I have a small column for my estimated menstrual cycle, and then I separate the day into AM and PM so that I know where my appointments kind of fall. And this type of calendar has never really worked for me, but in July it worked really well. Maybe that is because of the amount of appointments that I have at the moment, which is not so much. And I somehow could work with this layout pretty well now, and this is why you sometimes should change things up to see if something else might work better, and you might be surprised. After that, I cut a Dutch door, which is the first one in this layout. There will be 2 more, I think. And for this, I wanted to create a little bit of a photo collage and used this kind of little book with what I thought were just pieces of paper, but they're actually stickers, which I just found out in this video, and that's pretty handy, I think. And as you see, I went for another kind of yellowish theme because I wanted to embrace the last real summer month and have a little bit of a mood board, kind of like. I'm not sure if I will run through a flower field, probably not, but I just really like the vibes of these stickers. And you know, as I said, I want to make my pages a bit aesthetically pleasing, and this is enough for me, surprisingly. And underneath this collage I will have a little bit of space for some goals. I don't need so much space for them because I think for me it works well to limit the space for goals so that I'm a bit more realistic what is actually achievable in 1 month. And after that I divided the calendar into the weeks so that I have a better overview of when 1 week starts and ends. I also added like colors to the weekend days on the side. I'm not sure if that's so easy to see, but yeah, that really helps me to know where I am in 1 month, and also will be helpful for the upcoming pages that we are setting up. Also, let me tell you that we will be moving the title of the calendar, but that is a future problem for the next for the end of this video. So as you see, we are cutting another Dutch door, and this will be pretty self-explanatory. It is 1 page for my tasks and 1 for my YouTube and Patreon projects and ideas. Because in my last setup I had too little space for my tasks. I mean, I think it kind of worked out. It was enough, but it was really limited, and I don't like that limited thought in my head, as I said earlier. I don't like to think about if there's space to write that down if something is important enough. So I needed more space, and so I added 1 extra Dutch door to the layout, which is this one. Yeah, so much for that. And just in case you didn't know, I like to add that in my videos now, because how will people know otherwise? I have a free Patreon page. I recently wrote 2 articles, one about the spirit of the seasons and one about the spirit of summer, because lately I've been into seasonal planning and all sorts of that. Maybe you've heard me talking about that a bit more in my videos. So yeah, if you want to know more about that, check out my Patreon page. And also, I've just hit a big YouTube milestone lately, which is that we have hit 1,000 subscribers here on my channel, and to me, honestly, that is freaking wild. I mean, imagine 1,000 people standing in front of you. That would be so much. And it really means a lot to me that you're here, and thank you so much for your support, for subscribing, for commenting on my videos. It really means the world. It makes making videos so much fun, and I honestly am speechless by how fast that happened. wanted to talk a bit more about the setup itself and why it is working instead of describing how I'm choosing stickers for decoration. So yeah, I think that this specific setup has worked so incredibly well for me because I have everything that I need in kind of one spread, which is because of the Dutch doors. That's what they make it feel to me, if that makes any sense to you. And because if I would add any of the pages onto the next spread without any Dutch door, I would pretty much forget about them and not use them. And all of the spreads that I'm setting up are just functional to me. They have some purpose to make my life easier. And this is, I think, why it works so well. And once we're setting up my tracker pages, which will be right after this one, you might think, if you maybe are a beginner and new to bullet journaling, that this is a lot to do. And let me tell you that you definitely don't have to include all of these pages because they can become quite overwhelming. For me, it took several months, if not years, to figure out what is working for me and what I need in my life. And sometimes that is also depending on phases. Like right now we are setting up my workout tracker, and this is something that I just recently added. So yeah, if you're new to bullet journaling, you don't have to include all of these pages and overwhelm yourself with having to fill out 2-3 different trackers every day. I would recommend starting out with a calendar page and a monthly task list, and that will make your life probably easier. And as you go, you will figure out what you need in your bullet journal and how that has to look to be functional for you. When we look at my workout tracker, it is fairly simple. It is only one space for writing down the workout I did, rating how strong I felt, and adding a little note. And this has not the purpose to get me to work out more, even though I have to say I never thought that I would become the person that works out 4 times a week and actually enjoys that. The main reason I track my workouts intensely in the last months is that I signed up for a half marathon. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Yes, I might be a bit crazy, but as I said, I actually enjoy that. It's wild. And so I do have my eyes a bit more on how my progress is and that I am actually gonna make it through the half marathon by September when it is on. So yeah, there's not the pressure that I want to lose weight or anything. It is just that I know how I'm doing on working on my goal. So much for that. I just wanted to say you don't have to include a workout tracker because you have to work out. I am working on a specific goal with that, and that is just helpful for me. And on the last Dutch door, I have my daily reflection where I just write down one line about my day, and I'm not really too strict about what that is. It doesn't have to be something positive or some gratitude or something. I just write down something that is noteworthy for me, and I also need that in order to reflect on how my month is going, on how I'm feeling, and in what kind of phase I am in at the moment, because I feel that like my menstrual cycle and stuff like that do have a lot of effects on my well-being, and that is important for me to check in with that regularly. And you can also see that I add the lines of the weeks to my daily reflection, my workout tracker, so that I can more easily see where I am. And yeah, after that comes my habit and mood tracker, and if you've been on my channel for a while, you know this by now. I also talked really in depth about this in my March setup. Even though I made it a bit more simple, I got rid of a lot of things that I tracked back then, but the system is still the same. So yeah, if you want a bit of an in-depth explanation of that, just check that video out, and it might make more sense to you, even though I think it's really simple. On the left side there's the habits, and on the right side the mood and stress and energy graph. And I made that a little bit smaller this month because I found myself struggling a little bit to really realistically classify my mood, energy and stress, and I thought if I just part it into 3 sections, which will be low, middle and high, it might be a bit easier for me, and as well that gives me more writing space on my Dutch doors, because I just wanted to be this part of the tracker visible on each page I'm at, and so yeah, more space for me. I hope that all makes sense. And yeah, I also said that in other videos before, but my habit tracker and my mood tracker are not about optimizing myself or pushing me to do any habits that I should be doing. It is basically just an observing tool for myself, where I track what I am doing and feeling and how this is affecting me. So my habits stay in relation to my mood as well as my daily reflection does, and all of that gives me a pretty clear picture of how I'm doing, how I'm feeling, and sometimes that helps to say or to see when I need to take a break, slow down, or when it might be a good phase to do things that cost me more energy. So for this video, I also asked on my community tab if there were any questions to make the voiceover a little bit more interesting. And there weren't a lot, but I've got 2 questions and I'm happy to answer them, of course. The first one was, why did you choose to do a channel in English? And that is very easy to answer, because in English you can simply reach more people. And I believe the bullet journal bubble in German is there, of course, but it's not the biggest. And I mean, I just want to reach a lot of people. I think it's cool that I have the option to reach people all around the world, and I hope that my English is not that bad. I sometimes rewatch my older videos and I'm like, oh geez, there are so many mistakes in here. But yeah, that's why I chose to do it in English, and also English comes pretty natural to me right now because I've been speaking English for the last 2 years with my boyfriend. And so yeah, I also watch a lot of bullet journal videos in English, and to me that's something that I really like to talk about in English. Yeah, so much for that. And the second question was, do you do any original artwork like you did for the February setup, or other than the stickers? I hope that I understand this right. If there are like original artworks of my bullet journal available as stickers, as there are some stickers on my free Patreon page. Not really. The thing with me is that I do struggle a lot with being consistent with things and having the patience to do things that take a lot of effort, if that makes sense. That is my ADHD brain. So if I draw something for my bullet journal setup, then it's pretty much likely that after that I'm so bored of it that I don't ever want to do anything like that again. So this is also why my idea that I had right at the beginning of my YouTube journey to start an Etsy shop kind of failed, because I'm just not that consistent with things and I don't want to put pressure on myself to deliver anything, and I honestly never really felt the need to put out some original artwork of mine. Yeah, thank you a lot for your questions, and that's it for this section of the video. Yeah, so once everything is set up, there was just a little bit that I wanted to rearrange or decorate. As I said, I wasn't happy with the placement of the August title, because after I just wrote it down, I thought, I would like to see that on every page. So I thought a little bit about how to fix that, and I just covered it up with a piece of paper from one of the Dutch stores, and then just made it a bit complicated. I thought, well, then I just tape down another piece of paper, which I started doing, and then I wrote something wrong down there, and then I just wrote it right onto the paper. I like to keep things like that in the videos now, because my progress isn't perfect at all, and that is okay. You can arrange yourself with mistakes. They don't hurt, and you can somehow fix them. And then I also wanted to add some tabs on the Dutch store made from some washi tapes, which I wasn't too happy with in the end, and honestly after I finished the setup I already removed them again because they weren't really practical, and I think I will somehow manage to just work with the pages as they are. But for now they are in the setup, and I mean they are a bit cute I guess, but also not really, I don't know, not functional. I also added the title for the mood and habit tracker, which was good because there was more space on the left side of the page than in the last month, and I had to squeeze the title on the top corner of the page. I like how this looks a lot more. And last but not least, I added some black grid washi tape to the edge of the first page, which makes it easier to flip back to the setup and also see how much space I needed for a month in general when I just look at the edge of my notebook. And yeah, that's quite handy to have, and that's it for my August setup. So here we are at the final flip through. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I appreciate it so much that you're here and that you took the time to plan with me. I hope that you enjoyed this video. As always, if you like what I'm doing, make sure to like this video, write a comment how you liked it, and if you haven't by now, subscribe to my channel. And I hope that I see you in my next video. Bye!